Welcome to the Emotionally Baked podcast, where emotions and baking are the two most perfect ingredients. Hello, and welcome back to the Emotionally Baked podcast, where we bake something yummy, all while talking about our emotions in hopes of baking it out. Thanks for joining me. Today's episode is self-doubt and scones. And I don't know why I haven't made scones yet. These are one of my favorite things to make. And yeah, we're just gonna do that because I need breakfast, and here we go. And I'm sure the family will love it too. They always do. Well, cross your fingers. They tell me they do. So let's just hope. So, I got some coffee because it is chilly out and it's a little warm. Anyway. The coffee's warm. It's chilly out, the coffee's warm, which is actually good because, yeah. Anywho, so the recipe is from long ago from a magazine. I cut out and pasted in a recipe book I had, so I don't know where it's from. So I apologize. It's probably a basic scone recipe. And yeah, we're going to be using the favorite bowl today. I just got to warm up a tad. This is very hot though. Very hot. Okay, so we are going to use a pastry blender in our favorite bowl today, and it should be fun. All right, so I'm just going to put my dry ingredients in first. So what I did do is the recipe calls for 3/4 cup of milk. So I got my milk in here, and what I did is I just added a little splash. The recipe didn't say this, but I do it anyways, and I don't know if that's just like a me thing, but I splash a little bit of lemon juice into the milk so that I can kind of make like a buttermilk. I don't know if that affects the recipe or if it adds something to it. I don't know. It's just something I started doing with this recipe, and I just kept it because it was something I liked. So we shall see. All right. So I'm going to add the dry ingredients, and then we're going to mix in the milk. That's the only, quote, wet ingredient. But what we do is we cut in the butter to make like that pastry first. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do is while I'm talking is putting in my dry ingredients. Flour, sugar, baking soda, baking powder, salt. Okay, so did I say self-doubt? I did. I'm second guessing because I was either going to call this second guessing or self-doubt, but hey, they go together. So, and I'm second guessing myself anyways. So here we go. All right, gotta start off with the flour. It's going to make some noise. Okay, there's the flour. All right, so the reason why I wanted to talk about self-doubt is, I don't know, well, I do know, it's because I've been feeling it lately. I've been really feeling, I'm doubting myself. Oh, isn't self-doubt such a crazy emotion? It really is. It's such a roller coaster of an emotion. Oh my word. So for me, what self-doubt means is that you, like I was saying, you second guess yourself, you second guess decisions, all the things. Yeah. And I'm definitely feeling that self-doubt lately. And I don't know, most of the time when I feel self-doubt, it's because of, it's not like I don't have doubt of, well, I do. Let's be real. No, I have like the mom guilt and the, just all the normal things. But typically the self-doubt comes when I'm particularly thinking about the things that I'm trying, like the things that I'm personally working on or trying to do, or, you know, my job or my side, you know, all my side things that I'm doing, my, you know, my podcast and all that. And yes, I am feeling a little self-doubty about my podcast and about the things, you know, my work and my job and my, all the things I'm feeling about the self-doubt with that. And it's hard. It's hard to doubt. I mean, it's hard to deal with doubting yourself. You know, there was another liquid. It's vanilla. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the milk while it's sitting here. So we'll just let that sit. All right. So I have all my dry ingredients in here. And so we are cutting in a half a cup of butter, which is just a stick of butter. So it has to be cold because this is how we do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these. The first cutting is cutting little pieces of butter into the flour. Then we're going to use the pastry blender to blend it all together into like these little, I would say like pea size bits of creation, you know, pea-sized bits of flour and all the stuff together. And then, so that's when the milk goes in here, it just can bind everything together really well. So I'm gonna grab a knife to do this because I don't want to use my fingers. Hold on. I feel like even talking about self-doubt is hard, and I'm doubting how to even go about talking about it, because when you doubt yourself, everything is a question, you know, like, am I doing this right? Am I, you know, all the things. Does anybody even care that I'm, you know, what I'm doing? And at points you even question yourself. Do I even care? Does this even matter anymore? Like, why am I doing this? All the questions. What is it for? You know, who is really, you know, all the things, you know, all the things. And so it is difficult to talk about self-doubt. So I've cut in all of my butter, and now I'm just going to use my pastry blender. I'm just going to work at this. It takes a little bit of arm strength and a little bit of just back and forth. And then I typically have to clean off the pastry blender quite a bit because it just gets stuck in there. And you just want to make sure you're incorporating all the butter and all the things. So we might fast forward this part because this will take a little sec. Okay, so I've got all of my pastry. See, it's kind of just like really clumpy, lumpy. Yeah. So before I mix in the wet ingredients, now this is just you probably know this tip if you're a baker, but I'm going to put in my chocolate chips now, because these are going to be chocolate chip scones, of course. And what it does is when you put chocolate chips in to just the flour before you put in the wet ingredients, the flour coats the chocolate chips, so they hold their shape better and they don't get all melty. I mean, sometimes you want things to be melty, but sometimes you want them to not be melty, and you want them to, you know, keep a solid form, and that's what we're doing. So this little trick just coats the chocolate chips. I'm just going to stir them into the flour, and it just gives them just like a little protection before, we mix it all together and then bake it. So I have to get sneak in a little chocolate. I do that all the time. I sneak a couple chocolate chips. So good. Okay, so now we're just going to stir in our milk vanilla concoction in this bowl until we make kind of like we're not going to over mix because then it can get gummy and we want it to kind of stay. So self-doubt has come up for me several times. I'm not going to lie. It's one of those emotions that rears their ugly head. I don't want to say often, but it's more often than I would like. So, yeah, I struggle with self-doubt, and it's not that, I've overcome it and then it comes back, and I overcome it and it comes back, and the oven is ready for the scones. I'm almost ready for you. I don't know, but sometimes I'm the type of person who tries to, I don't know if you're like this, I try to make whatever I'm making, I try to race the oven and see if I can get it ready and prepared before the oven beeps. I don't know. It's just a thing. Okay. So yeah, I have to constantly work at it and tell myself okay, remember you were here before. And, before I started the podcast, I doubted myself. Before I started doing the thing, doing this, I doubted whether I should do it or not. And here I am, 30 some episodes in, and I'm doing it again. I'm self-doubting myself. And yes, this emotion is coming up because of the podcast. And it's not because I'm thinking to myself, well, it hasn't got much traction and this and that. Some of it is, but not all of it. It's just, you wonder what, I got to rethink what was the goal and why was I making this and what was the purpose and all those things. And really, I just wanted to help at least one person. If one person listens to the podcast and feels like they're not alone in whatever emotion that they're feeling, then yay, I've done my job. But when you work really hard at something and you work and you're feeling it and you're in it and you're just thinking, does anybody really care? Does anybody really? It's not. It affects, and it can be the same way with other jobs. My current job that I'm at, I work for my husband, sometimes you just wonder, it's a family business, so you just kind of fill in where everybody needs you and all that kind of thing. And sometimes you wonder, do they really need me? Why am I here? All that, all that jazz. Anyway. All right, we're still working through it. So what I'm going to do is I put down some flour and I shape the scone, all this dough into a round, and then cut it into triangles. I want to do that. However, I don't want to get my counter all dirty. So what am I going to get? A cutting board and put this on a cutting board so that I don't get this all messy. Yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna put this scone mixture on the cutting board, and we're just gonna get all of it. It's still a little sticky, and that's okay because I don't want to overmix. So it is a little wet and sticky. So I'm just trying to clean off my spatula, and I put some flour down, and I just want it to not be like ridiculously sticky. It can be a little bit, but I'm just gonna roll this, well, you can't, but it's like a big ball. And then all I'm gonna do, I don't need to roll it because I still want to keep that, I didn't over mix, so there's like still chunks of butter, but that's what makes it taste really good. So I'm just gonna pat this out into a really fat circle. So you can see it's a really fat circle, and it's thick because we like a good chunky scone. Okay, so big fat circle. I'm gonna wash my hands because this is disgusting, but we're gonna cut these into triangles and put them on our greased sheet here. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we're gonna cut these, and what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna cut it like a pie, halvesies and then quarters these, and then what we're gonna do, so you can do a wash on the top of anything you prefer. Like if you like an egg wash, there you go. So here you go. I've cut it into my 8 triangles. I'm gonna just transfer it to my sheet. I don't have tons of eggs because my chickens are in a hiatus. So you can also use, so there you go. You can also use milk as an egg wash. So I'm gonna use a little milk on the top, and then I'm gonna just dust it with some sugar because I feel like that just makes them pretty, and it just makes them all complete. So, and I do like to make these, see, quite thick, and they're still a little sticky, but remember, that's okay because we didn't want to over mix. And I don't like to roll it on like in the butter, in the flour too much. Like I don't want to get them too much on there. So I'm gonna have to get a second pan, but these are gonna go in the oven, 400 degrees for only like 10-15 minutes. Got to keep an eye on them because you don't want them to burn. Okay, I can't wait. I'm so hungry. All right, while those are in the oven, we'll go ahead and finish our conversation. So I might have to make myself a second cup of coffee because I love dipping a scone or a pastry into a warm cup of coffee. I don't know why, but it's just so decadent to me, and it's a tiny little bit of self-care that I do. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of self, it's hard in this world not to self-doubt. I give kudos to those who have the confidence. My daughter is so confident. I don't know where she got it from. I would be remiss to say it was me. It's not me. I'm just so glad that she does, though. I'm so glad that she does have that self-confidence. It's just, and sometimes, I wish I just could be like her. Sometimes just, I got this, and I know I'm good at this, and just love that. I strive to have I strive to have a balance of self-confidence and all the things. But it's hard. It's hard to, in a world where there's so much coming at us at all different directions, and what do we do here? What do we do there? And this and that. It's hard to regulate and balance and what you feel because I feel like sometimes your worth is, I know our worth is what we make. Like, I know that our worth is what, we set it to be. And it's not, we shouldn't categorize our worth based on the world and based on what everybody else is doing. It's just hard not to sometimes. It's hard not to say, like, how come, these things, XYZ, aren't happening for me, or this and that. And it's hard not to, because we're all human. So that's why I constantly have to remind myself that you are worthy, that, don't doubt yourself, Heather. There's a lot of, your family depends on you, and don't doubt, there's definitely things that I don't doubt, but there's definitely times where I do second guess, so it ebbs and flows. It definitely ebbs and flows. Self-doubt is so hard because it just can rear its ugly head sometimes. And you just, like, I can be confident in 1 second, and then I can doubt myself in the next. I can be working on a project, and it's just as simple as maybe like something like a crafting project. And then I got this, and I'm doing it, and then something will go wrong, and I will just set it aside and be like, I can't do it anymore. I failed, and then I'll come back to it and say, okay, I got my confidence back. Let's do it again. That's just a minor example, but I feel like that happens in the bigger things in life. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm doing really well with the podcast, and like, first episode, 70 people watched my episode or listened to it, and I was, yay, and then one person like the next one, or and it makes it hard sometimes to feel like, am I doing what I should be doing, or should I just stop, and who really cares? That's the nature of self-doubt. It just comes and goes and comes and goes. For me, I sometimes, there's some people lucky who never experience it. Never experience self-doubt, and I love that for them. But if you're like me and you're experiencing moments of self-doubt, and you're second guessing what you're doing in life, or second guessing just this moment of, maybe it's just like right now, one holiday's over, the next one's coming, and I'm doubting whether or not I'm even feeling it. Like, am I feeling this? Like, I just, maybe it'll change and it'll get better. But, sometimes it's just hard to manage the ebb and flow of those doubtful feelings. Okay, I don't know if I will resolve this right now. The baking definitely helped, because I'm going to have a little self-care here in a minute with my coffee and a scone dunked. I cannot wait. I'm literally counting down. They've only been in there for 5 minutes, and I'm like, come on, let's go. Like, I need this to happen faster so I can do a little self-care. So, yeah, I don't know if it'll be resolved through this, the self-doubt, because, it comes up and there we go, but yeah. Do I have my solution is to remember, my solution for me, and I don't know if this helps anybody or not, but my solution for me is to just remember to look at the things that you're not doubting yourself on. So if you're self-doubting in one aspect, look at the thing that you aren't and say, okay, I don't doubt that. That's okay. And maybe it'll help the thing that you are doubting. And, you know, the two may balance each other out on a scale, you know. At least find that silver lining, find that like thing that you can hold on to and say, okay, well, I got this. I know I don't feel like I have this. I'm doubting this. And maybe I can, that one little bit, like, I'm confident that I can bake. I have that self-confidence. And maybe getting this baking part done for me this morning will help me in my other things and help me say, okay, well, you have that part down. Maybe the rest will come. You know, maybe it'll come afterwards. Ah, all right, friends. I'll show you the yumminess when it's done. I cannot wait. I'm just holding on 3 more minutes. Oh, and yeah. All right. Whether the salt in your recipe comes from tears or a teaspoon, just remember, we baked it out. Have a good one.